2017. We're just 9 days away from the general elections, and this is the campaign edition of Choice 2017. On today we have several big stories and developing stories for you. First of all, Miguna's running mate, that is Karen Wagenye, had stepped down. She stepped down this morning, saying that she has not had some kind of a rosy relationship with her boss. We'll have that story for you shortly. And on the campaign trail, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Jubilee Brigade were in Trans Nzoia. They are expected in Kericho County any moment from now. Our reporter Murimi Mwagi is going to join us shortly and tell us more on that. And NASA, under the leadership of NASA's presidential candidate Raila Odinga, are expected in Machakos. They were in Mavoko a while ago, so they are expected in Machakos any moment from now. Our political editor Ben Kitili is our man, then is going to tell us more. And we're not going to forget the elephant in the room, and that is, the back and forth between both Jubilee and NASA over NASA's claim. Of course, they've been accusing KDF of interfering with the election. We'll have that press briefing by the Interior CS and that of the Defense, who've said, quote unquote, our security forces are being subjected to gossip and rumor mongering. It is wrong because they are disciplined officers. So let's begin with our top story this afternoon, and that has everything to do with Nairobi politics. Let's listen in to what, should I call her, the former running mate of Miguna had to say.
I'm here today to let the public know that I would like to resign from that position. Not that I don't believe in the cause. In fact, I very much believe his ideas are exactly what we need to implement to make Nairobi the green city in the sun once more. With that said, please let it be known that I have nothing against the governor, and I wish him, the aspiring governor, and I wish him well. All I'm saying is we're not compatible, and I am not in a position to work with his methods of addressing issues. Hence, if a team is not compatible, then it is not fit to run for high official government in office.
That is Karen Wagenye there, as she made that announcement that has, of course, shocked the Miguna's camp. We're yet to get a reaction from that independent candidate who is eyeing Nairobi's top seat. Now in studio, just to separate facts from fiction and discuss all the political development in the country, I have two gentlemen. That is Lawyer Kakai Kissinger. Many thanks for joining us as usual.
Thank you very much.
And we have John Kagusha, who is also a political analyst. Brian Mutie is going to join us any moment from now and is going to, as always, come in handy as far as the Masako or Ukambani politics is concerned. Let me just start with you. You've seen there the statement by Miguna's running mate. She has stepped down. What does it mean legally?
Thank you very much. There are two issues here that has just happened. One is legalistic or legalese of the whole decision that has been made. And number two is the logistical challenges that it has raised between herself and IEBC. Mm-hmm. Now, let me start with the logistical nightmare that this creates. One, IEBC, under their rules and regulations, had given all candidates who are going to participate in the election 3 days to either confirm they will be in the ballot or not. And failure of which, then IEBC went ahead and printed the ballot papers. Yeah. Now, the running mate of Miguna did not write or indicate to IEBC that she is not willing to participate in
and the ballot papers are ready for the record.
And the ballot papers have already been printed.
Yes.
So we have, and they're already in the country. My understanding, they're already in the country. So her face is already there. So my understanding that IEBC, under their own regulations and rules, will go ahead and punish her for whatever they have to do, because the name is already there. Now, so we will go into an election for Nairobi gubernatorial race with her name and her portrait there. Now, the legal challenge we have is that, the law is silent, completely silent to what happens in a situation like this. It's not provided for in the law. So we are going to see a situation whereby we will go into an election. There's nothing that stops Miguna from going on with the election.
Yes.
He's already in the ballot and he's going to go into the election. Now, if and when Miguna wins the gubernatorial race...
I'm sure that's a question so many people are interested in.
Then he will run the show as the only sitting governor without a deputy.
That is, if he wins.
If he wins. The reason being, you do recall that we lost a governor in Nyeri.
Yes.
And when we lost a governor, the law only recognizes when a governor dies, and if a governor dies, then the deputy governor comes in and completes the term of the governor. But the law doesn't recognize or foresee a situation whereby the running mate disappears from the rest before the election. So this is the first one. So what is this doing to us is that it's going to address to future changes in the law. That we have now Parliament, when Parliament comes in, they have to think of how do we deal with situations like this. So we'll have a situation whereby Miguna goes into election, wins. If he wins, then he will run the show without, because the election is a package. Yes. You come in as two. Now, what the law has done, the law has only foreseen a situation whereby a presidential candidate dies before the election that is provided for, or a member of parliament dies before the election is provided for. You saw what happened in Kisi the other day. But then in a situation like this, it's not provided for. So that's where we are at the moment.
Kagusha, clearly, from the legal point of view, it's not practical to have a replacement for Miguna. And this is not the first time that he has lost a running mate. He had one before who left because of academic papers, I believe. Yes. And then we have Karen Wagenya again.
This reminds me...
This will be a blow to Miguna, of course.
It actually reminds me of the presidential candidate who went to present his papers, and he did not have a running mate, apparently because his running mates had not agreed on who would carry the mantle. And these are the new situations and new drama that we are seeing with the elections. And the beauty about law is that it is always developing. And law develops because of happenings that are, different situations that come. Now, these are situations that we may not have foreseen. I have tried to look at even the constitution, even the electoral law. I don't know whether it is there, but some of the things I can see there is where how to remove a deputy and how to handle a situation if the deputy dies, or even the governor or even the president is not there after an election. I mean, that is all provided for. But again, this now presents us with a new situation that we must then legislate as we get into parliament and as we get into the new government. But then this also brings into question how this gentleman by the name Miguna deals with his people. And it even brings a bigger question as to whether Miguna is a team player and a team leader. Because if he has been in battles with every other person he has been dealing with, and he's also the gentleman who lectures everyone, including the media. In fact, I know when you guys see Miguna approaching, the next thing you think about is what is the lecture he's going to give me now. If that is how he approaches also his people, the ones he worked with, you remember he was a very senior person, a very senior advisor to the prime minister during the time, Raila Odinga was the prime minister of this country. And they could not again agree. At some point, I think he was just sidelined. And Raila let him be, and at some point he actually sacked him. And only for him to realize later on he did not even have a contract like the one that Kibwana was having, who was the counterpart of Kibaki on the other side, who was a presidential advisor on the other side. So Miguna has been erratic. His personality, I think, is not very endearing to his team. And he seems to be scattering his team other than bringing the team together. It is not a good thing for a gubernatorial candidate.
Let me hear your response on this. This is a man who really shined, during the Nairobi's gubernatorial debate. Actually, so many people thought they're going to choose him. And then we had another debate of the running mates in Nairobi. And of course, this statement by his running mate, Karen Wagenya, came just a few days after that debate, where she did not, have some kind of stellar performance. So do you think that might be the reason as to why
if I listen to her statement and what's going around in terms of social media, she seems to say that, look, I believe in the manifesto that we have between myself and Miguna to offer the people of Nairobi. And I have all reasons to believe that that manifesto is working in the right direction, and this is what Nairobians need. That's her most important reason she's saying. But she's, however, saying, although I believe in the manifesto, I don't believe in my immediate boss, and she calls him the incoming governor. I don't believe in the incoming governor because his style of leadership is what I don't ascribe myself to.
But the question is, why now? We're just 9 days away.
Why now is that, you know, this is a marriage. Yes. Strictly speaking, because when you bring two people together, they believe in different philosophies, different thinking. It's a marriage. Yeah. So it's very good that she's actually ran away. She runs away right now before the marriage actually is officialized on 8th of August. Because she's just saying that she can't work with Miguna. She's even blaming him for being very abrasive and abusing the media and abusing fellow contestants in terms of who are running for governor positions. So I think Miguna has taken an approach whereby any governor who is running for office is a thief. So he's always hitting that to the rest. And so she's picking an issue with that. So it means that there was no compatibility between the two of them, Miguna and the outgoing deputy governor. So it's a very sad scenario for Miguna, because she must have been bringing on board some kind of votes. So it's a very sad scenario for Miguna. But it's a good thing for Miguna that he will still go it alone in the election, because it's too late right now, and the law doesn't prohibit him from not participating in the vote.
You've already indicated just in case he wins, he has to look for other.
Exactly. So if he wins, he will be basically running the show alone.
Kakai has compared this kind of association as, you know, some sort of lovers. People will say these are jilted lovers. Anyway, we've not had reaction from Miguna up until now. What do you expect him to say?
Rant. He's going to jump and he's going to give a lecture to the lady, to the poor lady. And, you know, the lady has clearly indicated that they could not agree on many things. And when you say Miguna shined during the debate, the gubernatorial debate, I am a bit pessimistic about that shining, because he lectured the other gubernatorial candidates.
But it augured well with so many people, especially those on social media.
Kenyans like drama. We enjoy it. When you give us drama there, lecturing the other guys, and giving scenarios and situations that you have not liked in the past, that's something that Kenyans would enjoy. That's something that Nairobians find very interesting. And normally that's what they look forward into, even the content that is coming from some of these debates. So it's normal that Miguna would be very necessary in any debate. In fact, I think Kenyans would wish to have more of those kind of debates, and they will have something to talk about. But again, does that then bring the content of having the leadership skills? No. I know many Nairobians don't believe or don't think that Miguna then will be the governor, but he's a good candidate. He's a good candidate. He's giving Kenyans some quite of comical relief in this gubernatorial race. So it's good that
of course, there are those who are seeing him as some sort of a fresh candidate. Speaking about candidates, what do you think, you know, the likes of Kidero and Sonko are thinking right now? They must be smiling at whatever is happening.
I think we have to be fair to every candidate.
Yes.
But in this case, I think it's not a big loss. Because if we were to go by the opinion polling that is coming in, especially from Infotrack, the last I checked, Miguna was at 1.1%. And then you looked at someone like Kidera and Songo are in the 43%. So it's inconsequential in terms of what Miguna was going to add on the electoral map in Nairobi for the position of governor. But that doesn't mean I'm underestimating or underrating his political bid in terms of the position of governor. But what the race in Nairobi is centered in between Sonko, Kidero, and Peter Kenneth. So the rest is basically they are escorting others. So
the horses are two, according to you. The horses are two. Before I come to you, John, of course, this is the campaign edition, and it's all about campaigns. And NASA leader Raila Odinga, together with his brigade, are at this moment in Machakos, I believe. And our political editor, Ben Kitili, has been following that campaign for us. Now, Ben, good afternoon. And what more can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Yusuf. We are at the River Stadium here in Mavoko constituency, one of the 8 constituencies of the county of Machakos. It is a big day for Machakos County, a big day for them in as far as the National Super Alliance, the opposition coalition, is concerned. The presidential candidate, Raila Odinga, and his running mate, Kalonzo Musyoka, have been traversing this county in search for votes. Of course, today being exactly 9 days to election day, so it is all systems go. They are going all out to marshal their supporters, especially from the so-called battleground counties and their strongholds. This one, of course, being a Wiper Democratic Party stronghold because of Kalonzo Musyoka. It is one of those areas that we'll be looking at if they're going to shore up their numbers in this year's presidential election, especially. We have seen Jubilee Party, led by the President Uhuru Kenyatta, make some inroads or try to make inroads in the county of Machakos, holding several rallies, sending different campaign teams to this county. They did get 12%, 10% of the vote for the presidential vote in 2013. They are hoping to be able to get more than that, especially now that the governor of Machakos, Dr. Alfred Mutua, on a Maendeleo Chap-Chap party ticket, is supporting Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. But of course, the National Super Alliance are trying to make sure that the numbers that Uhuru Kenyatta did get in 2013 go down. So that has been happening. The NASA team has divided itself in two teams. Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka did start in the Yatta constituency. They've just addressed a political rally in Donyo Sabuk. From there, they will go to Kangundo constituency and then go to Machakos town constituency before making their way to this place, Mavoko constituency, for the big rally of the day. There's another team that did start in Matungulu. They will make their way to Mwala constituency and then go to Kadhiani and then come here. All teams will conglomerate here at Mavoko and at the Athi River Stadium for that big rally. So we expect a lot of action. People are starting to stream into the stadium. We should be seeing the NASA principals in about 30 minutes or so. We also expect to see what will be happening in terms of the Machakos gubernatorial race, where Wavinya Ndeti, the Wiper candidate, will be, I'm sure, trying to make her appeal as well, using that NASA, momentum to try and woo voters here in Mavoko, which is a place where she's not new. She is a person that comes from Mavoko, so it is her stronghold, you would say. So we shall be trying to see what happens in that vote hunt, both for the gubernatorial race and the presidential race. Yusuf. She's not new. She is a person that comes from Mavoko, so it is her stronghold, you would say. So we shall be trying to see what happens.
Many thanks, Kitili, for that update. One final question. Of course, we're going to come back to you once that rally starts off. There's a story that has been hitting the headlines, in almost all the dailies, and this is very critical. NASA's accusation on, KDF. They're saying that KDF is interfering with the election. Do we expect the NASA leaders to talk about that issue again today?
So Yusuf, can you go again? I didn't get that part. I didn't get your question, sorry.
Well, Ben, I did ask, about this big story that has been, covered by almost all the local dailies. And it's a record that NASA is accusing KDF of interfering with the elections. Do we expect the NASA leaders to talk about that issue again today?
Yes, Yusuf, that is one of the things that they have been using on the campaign trail, so we expect that to be some of the agenda, a part of the agenda here today in the county of Machakos. They were in Kajiado yesterday, of course, after making that, having that press briefing in Nairobi, where they say they claimed to have evidence that the Jubilee administration will be using the military to try and rig the election, the forthcoming presidential election. So that has been one of the key messages. Even today, I'm told they have talked about it in Donyo Sabuk. So we expect that to play out. Of course, here in Machakos, they are trying to make sure they do everything. So that has been what they have been trying to sell, the fact that to their supporters, the fact that they claim that Jubilee don't have a way of beating the National Super Alliance fair and square in this forthcoming presidential election, that the Jubilee administration is planning to use. They have claimed military. They have been making accusations against the Interior Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. And of course, they have been calling for this adopt a polling station kind of strategy. So that has been a key part of their campaign. Trying to tell their people, supporters, that there is a plan for the playing field not to be very fair. So this is expected to be part of the agenda here today. given the fact that it moved a notch higher yesterday, them claiming to have some evidence. And of course, in the last 1 hour or so, we have seen the Interior Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, and his defense counterpart, Rachel Omamo, come out to talk about that. So I'm sure the NASA teams are keeping tabs on what those two cabinet secretaries have had to say, and I'm sure they will be looking for this big rally here in Mavoko to try and respond to that. So I'm sure the NASA teams are keeping tabs on what those two cabinet secretaries have had to say, and I'm sure they will.
Many thanks, Ben, for that. That was our political editor, Ben Kitili, coming to us live from Machakos County. And there is where we do expect NASA leaders, led by their presidential candidate, Raila Odinga, to address their supporters in Machakos. Of course, it's an area that is considered to be a NASA stronghold. And we're going to go there live once that rally starts. This has been the campaign edition of Choice 2017. We have a lot lined up for you in this program. But first, let's take a very short break, but we'll be right back. Don't go too far.
This is KTN News.